want to share here with you this principle, and it's called whipping whipping up your lagging sheep, and it's it's a Chinese parable, but I mean it's legit though in a way. It's just, I guess, philosophy. It There's truth in it. You know what I'm saying? So you study certain things about the nature of life, and you'll find truth in it. That's still truth. That's a part of the game, is understanding things. Like, I watched this show called Leopard Vision, and this dude explains how, like, when God speaks in his word, there's things about nature which give clues into the thing that God's talking about. So you go, if he mentions an animal, you go study what that animal is, then you look how it's used in the scripture, and it has a broader context. Or, even Jesus explains about how the seed in the field, you know what I'm saying? He explains people. He even describes them as grass, as the fashion of grass. It's there for a season, it grows, and then it withereth away. And that's, even man's described in that way, as a plant and an animal, and a tree. In a lot of ways, there's many times these descriptive type terms are used for people. So when the Chinese do it in their parables, it makes the same kind of sense, especially when you say whip up the lagging sheep. Um, Basically, and Jesus, that's what he was doing in a way. He was going for the broke, the weakest, the most lost people, and he was hitting them up first. That's why, because that's your lagging sheep. That's what's dragging behind. You know what I'm saying? That's what's it's just like the shepherd, right? It's those at the farthest end of the flock is the ones he's really got to pay attention to. The ones that are close to him, it's like it's they're in his peripheral already. But those other ones, you got to keep your mind on them. It's like Musashi says, sight is weak, but perception is strong. So, and that is true as well here. It's also like Isaiah, precept upon precept. Same thing right there. It's not just the line and the words; it's the precept. You understand the picture that it gives you in your mind. You know what I mean? And how it rings true in life, and you can recognize it if you see it. Same thing here, whipping up the lagging sheep. It was talking about this one dude. He was fearless, and he was like super strong. No one could kill him. But dude dies of a cold at some point from overexertion, or recklessness. Because that's the thing. What you get, that sense of invincibility, and you know what I'm saying. Your sheep of, should I or should not do this now? Should I put this away and save it for later? All that goes out the window, because it's like that's those people that chase thrills. In a way, it's kind of like that, man. They seek out dangerous things for a reward in their mind. It's just like, it's just natural high, man, or bragging right, stuff like that. But that was one way this man failed to whip up his lagging sheep. And then the other half of it is that there was this man who, like, basically he had this super diet and all these super exercise techniques and breathing techniques and all this, and he was like basically really old, but a tiger just came up and ate him, and the guy couldn't defend himself against the tiger, because he just dedicated all his thoughts to longevity and not towards protection. So I mean, and then in the end of it, it's kind of like the lagging sheep is, you always got an area. Everyone's got lagging sheep in some area. Like my buddy used to say to me, he's like, work on your strengths and not your weaknesses, or work on your weaknesses and not your strength. My bad. Because you can always rely on a strength, but a weakness is always going to be there until you confront it, I guess, and work it out. It's just like, doing all these like weird, strange movements. It's like you teaching your body to work in ways it never worked before. All those muscles, it's like in that movie, The Matrix. And he comes out of the the womb, the artificial womb, and he's sitting in a room with a bunch of needles in him, and he's like, man, why can't I move? And he's like, well, hey, man, or why can't I move my arms? The dude's like, hey, you never used them before. It was all in his mind, man. They had him literally. You know what I'm saying? It's like sometimes they detach us from ourselves to the point where we do forget uh, what we're capable of. And I see that a lot, man. That's part of the great dumbing down. It's like uh, I know. I mean, I can see what it takes to get things done. You know what I'm saying? I can see the spirit behind a big agenda. Like when you look at a pyramid, all these people want to have a big, circle jerk about it. When I look at it, I see, man, there was a lot of they slaved a lot of people. A lot of people died to make this thing here. You know what I'm saying? And so it doesn't hold the same awe to me as it does to others. It's like, I see something else there. There's something that came with it. It came at a heavy, high price. You know, and those people also fail to whip up lagging sheep in a way. It's like, oh, you only want to look at the goods of a thing, but not the bads. So, it's like, because if you really want to look at things, you got to look at them fairly, like unbiasedly. Like, look at them. I mean, whether you agree or not, at least call them out as they are. Don't sugarcoat or beat around the bush about it. You know what I mean? It's just, that's the whole reason all the injustice gets to go on in the world, because no one really pays attention to it. It's like it's happening, but just no one. It's like people look the other way, or they pretend they didn't see that. Sometimes a lot, and that's also failing to whip up the lagging sheep. It's like the weakest link in the chain is the one that'll break the whole chain. Same thing right there. And then it's also being aware of like being honest with yourself. Like, look, if if you got tendencies or habits, it's a person who's a crack addict. You couldn't make him an undercover cop because he would just get cracked out of his mind basically and go crazy, like most people do when they're getting on something like that. But for instance, that's also being aware, aware of your own weaknesses. It's like, all right, Sun Tzu says, if you don't know your enemy, you know, you're not going to be successful. And then if you don't know your enemy and you don't know yourself, you will never succeed. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's two parts about the being honest with it, seeing things for what they are. Uh, that's part of it, man. And being humble enough to accept your own weaknesses too, in a way, gives you foresight into how to guard in other areas. You know what I'm saying? But there's some people don't have that ability because they're blinded by. I realize most of the evil in this world, it stems from this pride. I guess the pride that you're right, that you're alive, that you're doing good, or you're not, or you're striving towards something else. It's like the pride is it's like the drum that drives the uh like they used to fight back in the day. They'd all go stand in lines and they'd all stand there with guns and go bah, and just all shoot once, and then a bunch of them will fall. You know what I'm saying? But somebody's playing this dang drum in the background. The devil's drummer. You know what I'm saying? Beating the war drum to from the beginning of time to Armageddon. But if people really check their lagging sheeps, sometimes, you know, uh, you could overcome, uh, things like you could fight the future in the present by just being aware of things and just take it into consideration and act on it. Like, yeah, I might have used to do that, but look, now you think twice before you do something that you shouldn't. And it's progress. And as you whip up lagging sheep, it's like as they catch up, like with your muscles, like if you keep working on your bicep, there's got to come a point where you work on your tricep, because the bigger and now the bigger you get your tricep, you can go back to your bicep and even hit more weight with it. So that's the thing. You can always fall back on your strength, but like I said, if you don't check the weaknesses, they won't never change at all. And it actually can just you totally cancel out all your strengths. Like I can move pretty dang fast, but guess what? Sometimes that makes it hard for me to sit still. Sometimes, you know, uh, you can't talk and listen, so it's difficult. Uh, if you got a habit of speaking a lot, it's a lagging sheep. So you can always check that out, and you got to think of it too. Like all the sheep is the herd, so you got to keep your herd basically in you gotta just it's the same thing. It's just like philosophy. Think about it. Your mind, your heart, your spiritual understanding, your physical health and well-being. Those are all like the sheep. Like each part of your body, that's also like a sheep. If you abuse your hands and you work too much with them, you don't rest, you're gonna have carpal tunnel. You know what I mean? So it's just a way of thinking like that. You see things in advance before they happen, and you try to stay mindful of, like, you can't have all protection without no longevity, because you'll never live long enough to really see a true whatever you're seeking. Then if you're all about the longevity thing, well, you're so peaceful that someone can just come take it from you. So you kind of gotta have a taste for the pen and the sword in a way, and that doesn't necessarily, like, just because you study these things doesn't mean that you have to live by them, but you do have to understand them, because this is just the world we live in, and they play these games with us, and if we don't check it, man, they'll just keep doing more. So sometimes you just gotta know how to whip up the lagging sheep, see where it's at, and then move the whole herd, man. Because when you draw on the laggers, pushes the ones that are by you now farther out. So it's a constant cycle process. Because if you focus on one thing for too long, believe it, somewhere there's something lagging. You know what I'm saying? Before you know it, you look and be like, a couple of my sheep are gone. Damn, white snake strikes again. And now you gotta wait a few seasons, man, for you get, or if you ever even get them back. But it's good philosophy.